Let's start like that. Today's my birthday. Happy birthday, me. And I decided to actually do this video, which is a topic that I feel has a lot of influence over all of us as producers and artists. It's about just letting go of control when it comes to beat arrangement, mixing, I think just overall beat making, and all these restraints that we put on ourselves on how music should be produced. At the end of the day, it's like, just make dope stuff, and that's all it is. But if you start thinking about it, there's a lot that we can talk about, and I love these sort of talks about beat making and how we approach it and how we think about it. First, let's start with this. I think there's kind of like two things here that we need to separate, or at least I separate in my mind. That is a beat maker as an artist and a beat maker as a producer that sells music, sells his beats for other artists to perform on. So to me, like, there's just that big distinction. One thing is that, are you trying to sell music? Are you trying to be a producer that wants to get placements, wants to get in the industry, wants to work with other artists? Is that what you're trying to do? Or are you just, trying to be creative and not really caring too much about what other people think and how the industry works and what type of mixing you gotta do, what type of arrangement you gotta put out? If you don't worry about these things, if you're a creative that just wants to put music out and don't care about these things, I think this is more geared towards you, because if you're trying to get placements, I think you do have to follow industry standards. And if you, and all the stuff that I do on my channel, I think at the end of the day is geared more towards people that don't really care too much about the industry. They just want to put music out. They just want to make music and be creative. And again, try to let go of these rules and chains that, kind of lock us into a certain box of how beat making should sound. I think the reason why I'm bringing in the topic is that, I've been putting music out and I feel like I'm falling into this way of producing, which is very similar over and over again, especially with my drum loops and just how the whole thing is done from beginning to end. I feel like it starts to become like this factory assembly line that, I kind of put things in a certain order and stuff like that. And at the end, it feels like it almost always sounds the same. I think I am kind of hitting a wall here with my production, and I'm trying to go somewhere different. And I think, I've been doing this work of, just trying to figure out what I want to do in my music, because there's like this huge pressure of having like what a song should sound like, what a beat should sound like, instead of you figuring out what your beats should sound like. And I struggle with a lot of these things, because sometimes I kind of just maybe put some orchestra in the middle there. But I'm thinking, if I put some orchestra music here in the middle, if I sample something and kind of do some weird stuff, how is this going to be heard? Is this going to be? And listen, man, I've been destroying these locks, destroying these blocks inside of my mind for years now. Ever since I stopped, transferring, stemming out things from the MPC into the laptop, and then trying to mix everything and not enjoying the process. I cut away from those chains back then, and it was too much work, so I decided to not do that and just always finish everything in the MPC, and just, if it sounded good that when I was producing it, then that was the end product. And that's how I do it now. I'm so happy that I do that. So I'm always learning and then breaking away from those chains, I suppose. There's always this learning and then destroying. You gotta learn to then break away from the rules, sort of thing. You guys know I've talked about this on the channel a lot. I don't do much to my music. I've come more and more to an idea of minimalism. Sometimes it's more about what am I loving the process. There was this video that I did once that I really enjoy that process, man. I'm sad that I never really got into it and made a whole beat tape just out of that, where I was using this record, this 4-track, was it a 4 or a 6-track tape recorder. It was a 4-track. That felt so good. It felt just like breaking away from this constant way of making music. I think that's what's happening to me. I'm just getting bored of this repetition of doing things the same way over and over again. And that video where I was recording live, the production live into a tape. So first I would record the drums, then I would record the samples into another track, then record other samples into another track, and everything was being played live. And it was just so nice the way that it's not that the song was great, it's just that it felt nice. I felt like a release of this control. I think it's all about this control. That's what I'm talking about, this control of music, this control of the material, of the sound, of, just trying to control something so bad into something that should be just easily created. It should be done in like an easy way. I'm hitting this wall of, I can't control this anymore. I don't want to be redoing what I'm doing. I got to find new ways of making beats. I got to find new ways of producing. For the past few years, I've been putting the drums first, and then the samples, and then extra layers of samples on top. That's how I do it. And I think I'm just kind of tired of doing that. Especially because I end up with a product that is different, but in a sense similar to what I've been doing. And I think this all comes from me trying to put a beat out every week. And all these levels of control just popped up, like, oh, I gotta put this, it gotta be this amount of time at least, I gotta, it has to sound more like this, it can't sound like it's filtered, or it can't sound like it's hi-fi, it can't sound like, oh, this sample here needs to be chopped a little bit more, I need to nudge this a little bit more, da-da-da. Like there's always a bunch of control that I put on like this, which is like my workflow. It's just my workflow, and I think I'm getting tired of that. And I started noticing it when I started to put a beat per week out. I noticed that there was a lot of control that I was dragging into my music instead of just, enjoying the process or just coming out with creative ways to get away from this. I was always doing the same thing. Like there's a progression that I have in my workflow, and I noticed it. And I was like, I don't like this at all, man, because I can't come up with different things because I'm always kind of in this steady pace workflow of, okay, now I put drums, now I put this, now I gotta layer stuff, now maybe I gotta change it, so I gotta bring in new samples. And there's always this mathematic that I have, which is okay. I mean, I spent a lot of years, man, coming to what I do now. And it's okay that I have this progression because I learned a lot from it. I learned a lot. But I think that's also a great thing, is that you learn all these things, but then you gotta let go of them. Like these are tools that you learn, but you can't really, I don't think you can really hold on to these tools all the time. So, because if you do, then you're not actually being creative and you're not expanding your horizons as a beat maker. And I think that's the kind of wall that I'm hitting. And I really want to experiment with making beats in all sorts of different ways. I've gained a lot of knowledge. I have a bunch of knowledge now on how to swing, how to sample, how to make nice bass lines. I've learned a lot through this process. But now I feel like I want to break away from this process that I've used of how to make good drum loops, how to swing, how to master my sound, how to mix everything, how to use just a minimal amount of effects. And so I've learned, I have this nice workflow. And maybe this is a huge problem for me because once I get used to something, I just want to break away from it. This might be some life issues here. It's funny, but it's very interesting and it's very exciting at the same time. Seeing what it comes out. because I think I've reached the point where I've learned a lot as a beat maker and how to put all these pieces together. And I think right now I want to break away from that and use all those sounds in different ways of producing, different ways of putting the drums together. What do I mean by that? Well, I might mean going back to that tape thing, you know, going back and just producing a sequence live and working more with loops, because I haven't done that. So I could just record a finger drum something, record it into a loop, then chop that and loop it, instead of creating every single step inside of inside of the sequencer on the MPC. I can still use the MPC. It's not about the machine. It's about, you know, how you work with your samples and how you sample them, how you approach this sampling. Here is the thing, the ultimate thing is this release of the control, of the need of having everything perfectly balanced, of how you feel like it should be balanced, right? Or how you mix should be balanced, how you swing should be, or how, that's also one of the big things, is just like losing that sort of control over your music. I want to test all these things out. I don't know, man. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Are you tired of your process of doing the thing? Do you go through the same thing of just getting tired of the process, of your formula, of your repetition? And how do you get out of it? Do you love it? You found a way that works for you? I mean, I found the way that works for me, but sincerely, I've been like for this whole year just getting tired of my process. I'm getting tired of it. And I'm doing this as well because I think I found my sound. I have like a sound that is very much my sound, and I want to experiment with that sound, but in new ways. Maybe using different sequencers, or using a different way to loop the ideas and arrange the ideas, but still having my sound. But you know, I think it's more down to how I arrange things, or not being so much in control how these sounds kind of develop. I think I want to lose control over my music a little bit more and just see what happens if I let go of this control over my music. As an artist, again, I'm speaking to people that are not here to get placements, not here to make beats to sell beats, just to kind of, you know, wander off through music production and kind of design things that are unique. So I don't know, but let me know what your thoughts are on this. Am I just going mad? I probably am. That's it, man. Thanks so much for watching the video. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.